Okay, now that we discussed how the class is going to work out, we're going to jump right into statistics. Okay, so when you hear the word statistics, I'm pretty sure you always think about numbers and a lot of data, and that is partially correct because statistic deals with a lot of numbers and data. But statistic is more than just that. So we're going to discuss how um, statistic is used, and our class itself has research method part in it. So we are going to do some research, and statistic doesn't mean anything um, unless you make it meaningful. It doesn't make any sense if you just say it that way. But um, we're gonna discuss how to make it meaningful and how to utilize the techniques that we're gonna learn and put it into practice. Okay, so that's our basic goal of this class. So if you are trying to find something out, say for your research project, right? If you're um, if you're trying to find out a conclusion and you have a bunch of data, then you have to analyze and you have to make something out of it, something meaningful out of it. So that's our goal for this class. So that being said, let's jump right in. Let's see. So statistic. Sorry. This is my first time using this tablet, so it might be. I'm pretty new and I'm not really familiar with this, so please excuse any mistakes or any um, untidiness. Okay, so statistics involves, I would say, four main categories. Okay, so let's just make that right here. So first, statistic needs data, right? So what we do is we collect data, right? And data can be anything. Data can be numbers. Data can be just simple words, yes or no. Anything can be data. And data is something, um, information, some kind of information that we need, right? So that's one part of it, collecting data. And also we analyze data. Okay, so if you have certain information and if you don't analyze it, meaning like if you don't understand what's going on, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So that's first two part of it, right? And also inferring, meaning you're kind of making a guess based on that the analysis that you came up with. And lastly, you have to conclude. Alright, so it's all up in the air because we don't have any specific example right now. But let's just, yeah, why don't we just take an example? Let's say we have an election going on, right? Say there is an election and we have two candidates. Candidate A and B. Alright, so that's our topic of interest. Um, that's what we're trying to find out, right? These two candidates are running for some kind of election, let's say presidential election, make it more dramatic. So they're running for a presidential election and they're trying to collect data and use statistics to conclude, to make a conclusion, right? So let's see how do you collect data? Um, I'm not sure how it's ran in Tanzania, but here in US, you take something called a poll. So what they do is they obviously you're not going to ask every single person that's that has a voting right. That's impossible if you're doing a president, right? So what you do is you go to a certain neighborhood, right? Say you go to a small neighborhood and you ask everyone there. So um, they might ask, "Oh, are you in favor of candidate A or are you in favor of candidate B?" And the people there, they will answer, "Oh, I like this candidate A better, or I like candidate B better," right? And that's your data right there. So taking a poll gives you information, and that's how you collect data, right? So that's, and you would, of course, you would write it down somewhere, or you would, these days you just use computers, or um, back in the days you literally take pen and paper to write it down, but that's really up to the person who's running this. More important thing for us is you collecting the data, right? So taking a poll is an example of collecting the data, right? And then how do we analyze this data? So say we asked um, I don't know UAUT students, just making more relevant for us. So we asked some students who have voting rights, and then say there were 100 students. Oops, what happened? Oh, sorry. Students. Alright, there we go. We asked 100 students, and then say, I don't know, say 65 students supported candidate A, and 30 students supported candidate B, and the rest 5 um, they didn't know. They didn't know. All right. So this is the data that we received, and now from this data we analyze. So we say 65% of UAUT students supported candidate A, and 30% of the students supported candidate B, right? So we have this data and we analyze. Obviously, this poll is very, very simple because we only did it to UAUT students. But what if we did it to some uh, other universities? Then you can do you can break it down into smaller parts. So you can say 65% supported A, 30% supported B in UAUT. And you can also say 60 of these 65, 40 people were male. Oops, did I do something wrong? Okay, so 40 people were male, and say the rest 25 were female. See, now we're breaking the information, and we're analyzing. Oh, why is it that more guys are supporting A? And say for B, we can say that 5 people supported male, and the rest 25 supported were female, right? So here we're analyzing data. What it means to analyze data, this is what we're going to do for the most of the part of our class. We're going to learn something called mean, standard deviation, variation, right? All these tools that we can use to analyze these data. So that's what we're going to learn. So I mean, you don't really have to worry about anything in particular right now, but this is, I'm using this to show you an example, right? So this is how you analyze data. And inferring and concluding, these can be put together. So here you're making uh, uh, keeps doing that. Sorry. You're making a guess. Or you're making a statement. So we can say that, for example, we can say that candidate A is more likely to win the election, right? So that's a statement. Well, based on this data, we can safely say that A has more support than B. But we can also break it down and say that more male voters are in favor of candidate A, in favor of meaning support. Right? That's true because we said that 40 people out of these 65 were male, whereas here 35 people out of 30 people were male, right? So we can make these statements, and that's how we make these data useful, meaningful to us, because when you're taking a poll, that's what we're trying to do. That's we're going to, ultimate goal, let's write it down here, goal is to make, so make data meaningful, right? So later on we're gonna use Microsoft Excel and other program called SAS. From there you can see all the numbers, and we're going to use more and more data, so more and more number, and it's going, sometimes it wouldn't make any sense in the first, when you first see it, but as you go along with it, you'll see how it can be meaningful, and that's our ultimate goal when we're dealing with these data. So statistics is pretty much, in a nutshell, you're analyzing the data and you're making it meaningful and useful for a certain topic. Alright, so that's, I guess, the definition of statistics, and we're now going to see how statistics is used. Alright.